Welcome to the buttonhole stitch. It is a decorative stitch that can be used for reinforcing the edges of unfinished pieces. It was also necessary before the machine stitch of a buttonhole. It was used to reinforce, of course, your buttons for your or the hole that your button would go through on your pants or your shirt or whatnot. So we're going to do that today. Sorry that I'm having focusing issues. First, you're going to need, of course, thread and a needle. Your thread needs to be knotted. And of course, you only have one strand of that knotted. We're going to start out this buttonhole stitch just by hiding the thread inside this fold and coming out on the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, now we can start our stitching. The first stitch you're going to do, you're going to go over your finger and back through the material again, like this. See how I have created a little bit of a loop-de-loop? And now I'm going to just look like I'm tying a knot in my thread. From now on, all you want to make sure you're doing is keeping your stitches really close together, because the closer together they are, the more reinforcing it will be. And you'll also want to make sure you're keeping your needle between you on this side and your thread on this side. As I create another one, remember, as close together as possible. I'm going to do this really slow. You keep your needle between you and the thread. And the closer, of course, you are, the more reinforcing your stitch is. If I were to do these wider apart with bigger stitches, you would see that I would be making a blanket stitch. Let me show that to you really quick. Wider apart, longer stitches equals a blanket stitch. Now this is a decorative way to finish off the edge of a blanket, such as fleece or something else that doesn't really tear. Do you see that big line? Hold on. Let's focus it. There we go. If you see the line is making, that's your decorative stitch, your blanket stitch. Again, you're making a stitch. You're keeping the needle between you and the thread. Now I'm going to go back to my tiny holes, because the tiny stitches are the actual good to have stitches, the reinforcing stitches. And you do this over and over and over until you get to the edge, at which point you'll try to finish off on the wrong side of the fabric if you can, or inside of a fold if you can. And like with any other finishing off, you make a stitch, of course your stitches will go longer than what I've just done in my example. But I'm running out of thread, so I have to close it off anyway. Wrap, wrap, roll, and pull. Yay! And there you have a buttonhole stitch and a blanket stitch.